The day I realized my happiness was buried under stuff. Ever notice how we keep buying things to make ourselves happy, but somehow we just end up feeling more stressed? What if everything we thought would bring us joy is actually the thing weighing us down? What if our stuff is secretly stealing our happiness? The moment everything changed. So, here's the thing. We were standing in our living room one regular Tuesday morning, and we couldn't find our car keys. Again. We were already running late, and there we were, lifting up magazines we hadn't read, moving around decorative pillows we never actually used, checking under that fancy coffee table book about Iceland that we definitely never opened. And then, it hit us like a ton of bricks. When did our home become a storage unit? We looked around and really saw our space for the first time in months. That treadmill in the corner with clothes hanging on it like the world's most expensive clothing rack, the kitchen gadgets we bought because some influencers said they'd change our lives, now buried in the back of cabinets. The closet so packed that we wore the same 5 outfits on repeat because everything else was impossible to reach. We had spent years collecting things, thinking each new purchase would make us happier, more complete, more successful. But standing there that morning, searching for keys in a sea of stuff we didn't even really want, we realized something pretty shocking. We weren't living with our things, we were drowning in them. That moment changed everything for us. We started asking ourselves some uncomfortable questions. Why did we have 3 blenders? When was the last time we actually sat on that fancy chair in the bedroom? Did we even remember buying half the things shoved in our drawers? The answers were embarrassing. We had been on autopilot, buying things to fill some void we couldn't quite name. And now those things were filling every corner of our actual living space. Why we keep collecting things we don't need? Let's be honest about something. We live in a world that's constantly telling us we need more. Every ad we see, every post we scroll past, every email in our inbox is basically screaming that we're incomplete without whatever they're selling. And we fall for it because, well, we're human. There's actually some pretty interesting science behind this. When we buy something new, our brain releases dopamine, which is basically our feel-good chemical. It's the same rush we get from eating chocolate or getting a like on social media. Researchers have found that just anticipating a purchase can trigger this response. So we're literally getting a chemical high from shopping. But here's the catch. That feeling fades super fast, usually within a few days or even hours. So what do? We go shopping again, chasing that same high. It's like we're on a hamster wheel of buying stuff, and we don't even realize it. Plus, we've been taught that success looks like having things. A bigger house, a newer car, the latest phone, trendy clothes, fancy kitchen appliances. We measure our worth by what we own. But somewhere along the way, we confused having more with being more. We thought that if we just bought the right things, we'd finally feel satisfied, accomplished, happy. Spoiler alert, though, it doesn't work that way. Studies from psychology researchers show that material purchases give us way less lasting happiness than experiences do. That new sweater might make us happy for a week, but a weekend trip with friends or learning a new skill stays with us for years. Yet we keep choosing the sweater because it's easier, more immediate, more concrete. We can hold it, show it off, check it off our list. Now here's where things get really interesting. All this stuff we're collecting isn't just sitting there innocently. It's actually costing us way more than what we paid for it. And we're not talking about money here, though that's definitely part of it too. First, there's our mental energy. Every single item we own takes up a tiny bit of our attention. We have to clean it, organize it, remember we have it, move it around, make decisions about it. When researchers looked into this, they found that clutter actually increases our stress hormones. Just being in a messy, crowded space makes our body think we're under threat. Our brain is constantly processing all these visual stimuli, and it's exhausting. That's why we feel so tired after spending time in a cluttered room, even if we didn't actually do anything. Then there's our time.
Think about how much time we spend managing our stuff, shopping for it, sure, but also organizing it, cleaning around it, looking for things we've lost in the piles of other things, maintaining it, fixing it, upgrading it. Americans spend about 1 year of their life just looking for lost items. 1 whole year. Imagine what we could do with that time instead. And let's talk about our space. We're literally paying rent or mortgage on square footage that's being used to store things we don't use. Some people even rent storage units, paying extra money every month to keep stuff they haven't seen in years. It's kind of wild when we think about it. We work hard to afford bigger homes, then fill them with so much stuff that they feel small and cramped anyway.
But probably the biggest cost is our relationships and experiences. How many times have we said we can't afford a vacation, but we've spent hundreds on random purchases throughout the year? How often do we say we don't have time for hobbies or friends, but we spend hours shopping online or organizing our stuff? We're trading the things that actually make us happy for things that just sit there. What happened when we started letting go? After that morning of searching for our keys, we decided to try something different. We started small because the whole thing felt pretty overwhelming. We picked one drawer and went through it, just one drawer. And wow, the stuff we found. Receipts from 3 years ago, expired coupons, batteries we weren't sure were dead or alive, cables for devices we didn't own anymore, rubber bands, dried up pens, and random keys we couldn't identify. Basically, a whole drawer of things we were keeping just in case, even though that just in case moment had never come. Getting rid of that drawer full of useless stuff felt surprisingly amazing. It was like we could breathe a little easier. So we kept going. We tackled a closet next, then a bookshelf, then the kitchen. And with each thing we let go of, we felt a little lighter. It wasn't about becoming minimalists or living with only 10 items or whatever extreme version we see on social media. It was just about keeping the things that actually added value to our life and letting go of everything else. The changes started showing up pretty quickly. Our mornings became easier because we could actually find what we needed. Getting dressed took half the time because we weren't digging through piles of clothes we never wore anyway. Cleaning our space went from being an all-day nightmare to something we could do in less than an hour. We started having friends over again because we weren't embarrassed about the state of our home. But the deeper changes took a bit longer to notice. We realized we were thinking more clearly. Making decisions became easier. We felt more creative and motivated. We were sleeping better. And probably the biggest surprise was that we pretty much stopped shopping for fun. When we weren't constantly surrounded by stuff, we didn't feel the same urge to acquire more. We broke the cycle. So, what actually makes us happy? Well, we started paying attention to the moments when we genuinely felt good, and we noticed a pattern. It was never about what we owned. It was always about what we were doing or who we were with. Happiness showed up when we were cooking dinner with someone we loved, not because we had the fanciest kitchen gadgets. It came from reading a really good book, not from having a huge bookshelf full of books we meant to read someday. It happened during walks in our neighborhood, conversations with friends, learning something new, helping someone out, working on projects we cared about. None of these things required buying anything. Research actually backs this up in a big way. Studies on happiness consistently show that the things that make us most satisfied with our lives are relationships, health, meaningful work, personal growth, and contributing to something bigger than ourselves. Material possessions barely make the list, and when they do, it's things like having a comfortable, safe place to live, not having the newest or fanciest version of everything. We also realized that having less stuff gave us more freedom. Freedom to move if we wanted to without dreading the packing process. Freedom to change careers without needing a huge income to maintain all our things. Freedom to spend our money on experiences instead of storage. Freedom from the constant mental burden of managing everything we owned. Where we are now. That Tuesday morning when we couldn't find our keys turned out to be one of those moments that divides life into before and after. We're not going to pretend we're perfect now or that our home looks like some perfectly styled magazine photo. We still buy things and we still have stuff.
But the difference is we're intentional about it now. We ask ourselves if something is going to add real value to our life before bringing it home. We think about whether we're buying something to fill an emotional need that stuff can't actually fill. Our space feels calmer now. We can breathe in it. We can think in it. We can actually live in it instead of just existing among piles of things. And honestly, we're happier. Not because we got rid of everything, but because we made room for what actually matters. We learned that happiness was never going to come from the next purchase or the next upgrade. It was already here, just buried under all our stuff, waiting for us to clear things away and find it. So, yeah, that's our story. Sometimes the things we think we need are actually the things holding us back. And sometimes the best thing we can do for ourselves is to let them go.